to the UTAP Leadership Program, and February's monthly leadership topic is time and energy management. If we reflect a little bit, we've started the program in October, gone through the 360 assessments, the development of our IDPs. In January, we explored personal leadership and setting our goals. This month, we're going to be looking at time and energy management. And then we have the other monthly topics and the continued peer-to-peer learning, the monthly webinars, as well as the execution as our IDPs as we look towards October to the wrap-up time of the leadership program. But here we are in February, focusing on time and energy management. Putting this into context, we're going to reflect on the visions that we just developed, our 2017 goals, what we intend to do this year. This month we're going to be looking at how do we best manage our time to achieve the results that we want. So this month we're going to be looking at the close connection between our hourly, daily, weekly actions with our intended goals. This month we have 3 key learning outcomes. The first step is a self-assessment of our current time and energy management practices. We're then going to look into some of the theory behind best practices of time and energy management and look at this term of focusing on the worthy. The third one is looking at some leadership tools to improve our own personal leadership. So maximizing our time and energy management through mastering to-do lists, taming our email inboxes, and leading our calendars. And to achieve this, we're going to use our goals to guide our time and energy management. And those goals include, of course, the UTAP goals and objectives for this year, which are part and parcel of our performance objectives and impact. Our IDPs, individual development plans that we've been working on, as well as our annual goals that we developed last month. So our goals are very important in guiding how do we use our time and our energy, because they determine what's important and what's irrelevant. They also allow us to avoid distractions, do more focused work, and maximize our potential. And when we achieve these goals, of course we're more confident because we've achieved those and we know we can achieve more. So we use our goals to inform how we utilize and allocate our time and our energy. So what is time and energy management? It's our framework on how we make decisions on the choices we make on a daily, hourly, even to the minute of what do we use our time and energy to achieve. It's also our strategy on how do we balance all of the competing priorities in our lives. And these are just the 5 components that we looked at before. But we have so much going on in our lives. We're so busy. So if we have an intentional and systematic way of utilizing our time and energy, yes, we're going to be more successful, we're going to be working with less stress, and we'll have achieved a much better work-life balance. So we'll begin with a self-assessment on our current time and energy management practices. Please access your Leader's Journal for February, and at the beginning of this month, there's a self-assessment in the Leader's Journal that has 20 questions, 20 different events on our current time and energy management practices. Please rate each one of these on a scale of 0 to 5, how frequently they're occurring. 0 being they're never occurring, and 5, they're always occurring. So go ahead and complete those 20 questions. So after you've completed your self-assessment, go back and look and calculate your score. So count from each of the columns, 0s, 1s, 2s, 3s, 4s, 5s, how many of those of each did you get? Then multiply it times the value of those to get your total score down here. In this example, we have a total score of 48, out of a possible 100. Let's explore some theory on time management and best practices of energy management, and begin with the idea of focusing on what's worthy in our lives. And all of us have the same 7 days in a week and 168 hours in that week. And some of us make better use of that time than others, and some weeks we're better at it than other weeks. But successful leaders consistently focus on their priorities, tasks, and make it a second nature to schedule time in their busy lives to complete those priority tasks. That's the basis of the idea of focusing on the worthy, is creating the routine to be able to accomplish your priority tasks on deadline with a high quality of the final product. We looked at this model before where we're linking our vision, breaking the vision down to goals, into quarterly and monthly targets and milestones, and then focusing on our weekly, daily, hourly behaviors and actions. And as we look towards strategies to be able to better manage our time, let's first begin with a definition of time and energy management. And it's the intentional process of planning and exercising conscious control over the amount of time and energy spent on specific activities with a continual desire to increase effectiveness, efficiency, and productivity. So we're always asking ourselves, am I doing right now what's best for me to achieve my goals? So here's some general tips to managing our time and our energy. And it's just get into a regular routine of planning and organizing our tasks and our schedules. And focus on those priority tasks that are going to allow us to achieve our goals and our visions. We're going to look at 2 tools to enable us to better manage our energy and time, and those are a to-do list and the Outlook calendar. When scheduling our time, we're professionals, we're experienced, we know what interruptions we should be planning for. We're all different. We all have a different time in the day where we are most productive. Let's be thoughtful and schedule the times that need our attention and our focus. Let's schedule those when we're most productive during the day. Let's also use tools, and we'll look at one in just a moment, so that we're able to accomplish the important tasks and not be distracted by the urgent ones. We've got to do away with putting things off and procrastinating. We have to find ways where when we're organized, when we're more productive, to be able to reward ourselves as we reach higher productivity. Although there are different approaches and different styles, there are 6 main categories of approaches to time management. There's the fireman, when everything is a crisis, always late for deadlines, busy putting out fires, and no time to deal with processes, structures, or systems. And for the fireman, her or his tasks are piling up. The overcommitter says yes to everything and rarely says no. They take on more work than they can handle. They often forget things because they have so many things to try to remember. The perfectionist always wants to cross the T's and dot the I's. The perfectionist only finishes tasks when it's of the best quality possible, and the perfectionist often misses their deadlines. The next one's the chatty box, who's highly social, loves to talk, always on the phone, extending meetings, and is able to consume their time and others with continuous long discussions. The next one's the laid back, which is the opposite of the overcommitter. The laid back has no sense of urgency, doesn't understand deadlines, and avoids tasks They're never quick to return calls, and they often are known as the best procrastinators. And finally, there's the one that is able to achieve, able to be successful, is the general. Often not the most likable people person, but they limit the amount of time they're talking, limit their distractions, and focus on what they need to achieve their goals. They're a positive balance of the other five, and the general's often able to corral the other characters in the team and create a team approach to energy and time management that's better as a group than the others would be as individuals. Let's now look at strategies for maximizing our energy. And there's a great resource, energyproject.com, that provides some insight and research into the subject of energy. And first of all, we as people, we're not machines. We are programmed to be able to spend energy as well as renew our energy. And we know if we want to be high performers, we have to sustain that rhythm of refreshing and renewing our energy. Some interesting statistics about the energy crisis that's affecting the U.S. workforce. We can see that too many people working in the U.S. have a lack of energy, meaning, and purpose. But the plus side of this is that we know that energy is renewable. We can't make more time, but we do know that we can refresh and renew our energy. There are 4 types of energy that we're going to focus on. This is our physical health, our emotional happiness, our mental energy, and our spiritual purpose. We're going to look at each one of them, and there's a few tips we'd like to share of just how to, ideas to think about how to improve each area of these energies. The first one is physical energy, and the basis of this is a really good night's sleep each and every night. How can we reduce our stress is regular physical exercise. We are what we eat. The better fuel we put in our bodies, the better we'll feel, and the better we'll be able to perform. We also need to become more cognizant of our energy levels, and one way to refresh and renew our energy is to take these regular breaks from our jobs and our demanding schedules. For emotional energy, we can reduce our negative feelings and negative emotions. One way to feel positive opinions and positive emotions is to show appreciation for others. Just say thanks or show your gratitude in a different way. There's also 3 different lenses we can consider when we're faced with a stressful situation. One is the reverse lens, and ask ourselves, what would the other person in this conflict be thinking? The long lens is, later on, 6 months from now, what will I think of this situation? How will I be viewing this? And third, the wide lens, given this situation, this recent experience, what can I learn from it? For mental energy, there's 3 suggestions we have. When doing a high concentration task, something that requires our focus, put the phone and the emails away. Second one is put the email in the box and schedule it like a meeting every day. Take away the click of the emails. And third, at the close of every business day, look at what we want to get accomplished for the very next day and make those our priorities. Finally, on spiritual energy and purpose, identify and clarify your sweet spots. What gives you the highest level of fulfillment? Figure out best ways to allocate your time and energy so that you can do what's most important for you and, of course, live our core values. So, in our Leader's Journal, there's a quick section on energy, And the simple question is, in 2017, what 5 things can I do more of to improve my energy levels? So, what would we like to focus on this year to renew and refresh our energy levels so that we can sustain a high performance throughout the year? So one of our challenges is, with so many demands with our time and our energy, how do we decide the best allocation so that we can be happy, fulfilled, productive, successful with limited stress? Complicating challenges that we face is that we currently understand that the majority of things that we do each and every day are not propelling us towards achieving our goals. The research shows that only 20% of what we do in most days propels us towards our goals. But what we can do is we can change this. And we can change this through ritualizing our task prioritization. And we can begin to change these numbers upside down so that 80% of what we're doing in each day is propelling us towards our goals and towards our success. So we'll dive deeper into this leader's approach towards ritualizing task prioritization. And what we want to do is focus on 5 things to help us reclaim our time. What these 5 approaches will do is will allow us to find more time to be doing what we should be doing. The first one is to value our time like a precious asset. Avoid distractions and don't fall into things that waste our time. Use to-do lists to constantly track and prioritize our tasks. Control, manage, and tame our emails. And lead our calendars by scheduling all of our time, including non-work time. So, valuing our time like it's a precious asset. Not all uses of time are equal, and people who spend their time doing more profitable work end up making more money. Those who invest more time in others build better relationships. People who invest time creating a flexible career enjoy more freedom, and those working on high-impact projects contribute more to society. Whether we want more wealth, friendship, freedom, or more impact, it all comes down to how you spend your time. So, one question is, do we know the value of our time? Can we quantify, monetize our time? For example, what's an hour of our time worth? Secondly, avoid distractions and don't fall into the trap of time wasters. And of course, technology today offers us so many opportunities for distractions. Before, we just had TV and telephones, but now we're inundated with different ways of communicating, receiving information. At times it can be overwhelming, and we need to find ways and strategies to not fall into these time sucks. And then there are others in the office that continue to consume our time. How many of these do we find ourselves falling into and consuming time that we could be using for other tasks and achievements that are going to propel us towards our goals? So in your leader's journal, reflect and determine for yourself right now, what are my 5 main time distractions? And these can be at the office, and these can be at home also. After you've listed those 5, reflect and identify strategies that will limit these distractions in 2017. What can we change to limit the time that we spend on these distractions? Thirdly, is use to-do lists to constantly track and prioritize tasks. So to-do lists are used to track our tasks, and that we can use them to break big tasks and projects and goals into smaller, more manageable chunks of work that we can keep track of more easily. And to-do lists help us feel in control of our work, reduce our stress, reduce the feeling of overwhelmed. They keep track of our work and allow us to feel confident that we're on top of it and that we're able to continually meet the conflicting priorities, the competing priorities, and the many deadlines that we face. It also allows us to avoid people having to follow up with us to remind us to get our work accomplished. So here's 6 steps for to-do list. One is write everything down. Just keep track of everything. And one approach is aims. So the aims approach is make sure the things on your to-do list are actionable. Make sure that they're broken down into phases or steps so that they're incrementally listed. Make sure that you can quantify them and measure them so that you know when you've achieved success, and schedule them realistically. The next is to analyze the task that you put on your to-do list. And then prioritize. Is it important or is it urgent? And then take your priorities from your to-do list and put them into your schedule and your calendar. And as you're successful, either delete them or remove them from your list so you're only focused on what's coming next. Reflect and repeat. Continue to update and keep your to-do list as current as you can. So, one approach to analyzing tasks there are 4 different levels of analysis you can do. One is sequencing. Does one task need to begin before another task? Do we need to complete one task before another task begins? Or can they be done simultaneously at the same time without any relationship? We also need to be mindful and thoughtful about the estimated time to complete. Once a realistic start date, once a realistic completion date. And as things change, as life happens, if needed, to proactively renegotiate the deadlines that have been agreed. When looking at how to prioritize to-do lists, we can look at 2 different variables, the importance and the urgent, and to use a quadrant that shows that we want to focus on those tasks of high importance and high urgency first. And we don't want to focus on the non-urgent and the non-important, regardless of how attractive those non-urgent and non-important distractions can be. Our attention, our success is when we can focus our time and attention in quadrant number 1, where the urgent and important tasks are. So, back to your leader's journal. In the next section, identify how you're going to maintain a to-do list. Do you use paper and pencil? Do you use Word? Save it on your computer? Do you use an app? How are you going to keep track of your to-do list? A couple suggestions. Keep it all in one place. So don't use stick-it notes. Keep it so that you're able to archive it and return to previous versions if you need to. The second one is a routine. What's your routine for updating and reflecting on your to-do list? So 1 day a week, you should be looking at your to-do list as a whole, review your weekly tasks, and move those priorities into your calendar. I suggest Friday afternoon should be the time that you're looking at reviewing and updating the to-do list. And each day you should have a normal routine, either in the morning every day or at the end of the day, where you're going to review your to-do list and put your priorities in tomorrow's schedule. And again, we recommend that the close of business at the end of your day is the best day to be looking at your to-do list each and every day. Number 4 is email. Email is part of our lives and a big time suck if we allow it to be. So here's some ideas to better manage our email. First and foremost, establish a routine. What times during the day are we going to schedule our email and then turn it off? Secondly, let's send less. Doesn't mean the number has to go down, but we should try to not only reduce the number that we send, but the words included in the email. So we need to be looking at how can we be more precise, spend more time with precision in our emails, and we'll get fewer and better responses in back. And also give some time and think about who should it go to and who needs to be copied. Be thoughtful on the CC. When receiving an email, just say, yes, it's received, and you can expect me to respond by this date. If it's controversial, or if it's stressful, or a difficult conversation, pick up the phone and call the individual or walk into their office and talk about it. Email's not the mechanism to resolve conflicts. So, next we'll look at a very quick strategy on how to systematically manage our inbox. Email's a very big part of all of our jobs, and our inbox can get very overwhelming. So we all have different styles and approaches to best manage our inboxes, but here's one that we'd like to share with you that is a systematic approach to managing our email inboxes and trying to systematically keep a low number of emails in our inbox as a barometer for how well we're doing with keeping up with our jobs. So as emails come in, of course we review the contents of it and determine what's in it, and we determine, is it actionable or not? Is it something that we need to do? And if no, then we have the options of delete, or we may want to file it just in case we want to reference. If it is actionable, then we determined, what's the next action? And is it something that will take me less than 5 minutes, so thus I can immediately reply or forward it or delete it? And again, the delete key is one of my favorites on the keyboard when it comes to email. So if it takes more than 5 minutes, then most likely it is multiple steps and is a project that has multiple steps or phases, or a process with multiple steps, milestones, or different phases in it. And if that's the case, then what we need to do is move these to our to-do list. So we need to move them out of our emails and into our to-do list, and then begin to prioritize when and how should we spend our time and energy on these new tasks that have come in through the emails. So in your leader's journal, if you like this approach and you want to have a systematic approach to managing your emails, the basis is determining how many emails you want to have as your threshold. So for me, for example, mine's 25. I'd like to keep 25 emails in my inbox that I have not yet dealt with, either filed, deleted, whatever. So if you like this approach, one of the starting places is determine your threshold. And from there, reflect on that systematic approach to reach that threshold each and every day. The fifth pillar of reclaiming our time is leading our calendars, and that's scheduling all of our time, including our non-work time, because we want to be able to schedule our hourly, daily, and weekly plans so that we're aligned with achieving our goals and reaching our vision. And that's the basis of the term disciplined execution. So this approach to leading our calendar will allow us to make the link between what we're doing today and propelling ourselves towards our grander vision. So what are some benefits of calendar management? It increases our productivity. If we're leading our calendar, if we're proactively scheduling our time, we will have reduced stress. We'll meet more deadlines. We'll be a more responsible and responsive team member, And as we become more successful and more disciplined with managing our schedule and our calendars, our jobs become easier. One of the pillars of calendar management is being able to estimate time to completion for tasks, and as life happens, as things change, renegotiate the deadlines so that others and ourselves have the same expectations. So first of all, don't agree to unrealistic deadlines in the first place. And if you need to renegotiate, the sooner the better. Let the other party know that we might be off track with our deliverables. And instead of just pointing out the problem, offer a solution, or 2 or 3 solutions. Negotiate these, renegotiate, but don't go back the second time. If we renegotiate the deadline once, don't go back again. And let's not make excuses if we're late to deadlines. So, here's some hints on how we can lead our schedule and lead our calendar. Is you first. Find the time in your calendar for what you feel is your priority. Schedule your family time, your fun time, the time for your fitness, the time for the important people. That could be in the job, that could be stakeholders, that could be your friends and family. Again, schedule email, turn it on, turn it off, avoid leaving it on all day long. Move your priority tasks from your to-do list into your calendar. Always question, is this meeting, should I be attending? Do I need to be there? Is it the best use of my time? And try to fill in your blocks of time during your day with the 8 things above so that your time is scheduled first, limiting your free time on your calendar. Because if you schedule your priorities first, then someone can't schedule theirs in your time. So why do we do this? Time management, energy management, calendar management are tools that allow us to be more successful and accomplish our professional and personal goals. Calendar management allows us to avoid other people's priorities from becoming ours. How do we do this? We own our calendar and update it constantly. Move our priorities from the to-do list to the calendars and schedule your time first. So we update it before the first day of the work week. Again, we're recommending that you update your calendar on Friday afternoon for the very next week, and that would be about the same time that you're reviewing and updating your to-do list. Make adjustments slowly to your calendar. Own your calendar, it's yours. And try not to respond to other people's emergencies. So in your leader's journal, 2 questions. What day of the week will you plan the upcoming week? So we recommend Friday afternoon. Some people do Sunday afternoon, but we recommend considering scheduling time every Friday afternoon to update and reflect on your to-do list and plan your schedule for the next week. As we wrap up this month's topic of time and energy management, just a quick recap of how we've looked at the visions and how our goals should influence our actions, which will drive us to the results that we want. And those goals include the professional goals of the UTAP project, our impact goals in our performance appraisal process, our individual development plans that we've created in the leadership program, and our annual goals. And this month we've looked at 5 different ways that we can best structure our actions, have thoughtful approaches to our actions so that our results will allow us to achieve our goals. So in Dropbox this month we have several resources. There's a TED Talk video about how to gain control of our free time. The Leader's Journal has a self-assessment in it from earlier on this video, plus the questions included in this video. There's a time management for the time challenged article. We'll have our webinar later in the month of February, and then there's 2 job aids that feel free to pin these up in your office or put them on your screens, share them as you like. And here are the 2 job aids following this slide. Job aid number 1. Job aid number 2. So we'll be sharing these in Dropbox with the rest of the resources. If you have any questions or concerns, feel free to reach out to me at any time. Thank you so much.